This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Oh, yes, it is the Subway to Shea podcast. Anthony Rivera here with you, talking about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. Episode 207 from the Subway to Shea studios in my office. Make sure you're following Subway to Shea on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. You can follow me personally at Ant Rivera 86 on X, and you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you rather listen to the show. But if you want to be a part of the chat, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you are subscribed on YouTube. You can check it out on X as well. We already got 25 people in the room. Shout out to Duran Rivera, G Money Stacks, Patty and NYC, Nelson Cruz. Appreciate you all for being here. If you also want to support the Subway to Shea podcast with super chats, super stickers, super thanks, that's all now available on YouTube. And I got to start off by thanking all of you for not only being a part of the Subway to Shea podcast, but as Duran Rivera puts it, we are finally at 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate each and every one of you for helping me get to that point. And it's up and onward from here. And today, a special Subway Series, Queens edition of the Subway Series. And here to join me to talk all about it is none other than my good friend Hector Beauchamp, co-host of the Yankees Morning Brew on Uptown Sports TV. Also the social media manager and digital content creator for Latino Sports. You can follow him on X at Project Nerd HQ, at Yanks Brew, at Uptown Sports TV, and at Latino Sports. Hector, I want to say how you doing, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers here.
I just want to say good morning. I'm doing good. I'm doing as best as I can. But I just want to say congratulations to you, and for hitting 1K. And shout out to you and Chai and chat and your community that's here. Nelson Cruz, Deron, G Money Stacks. Again, shout out to you, and me and you. We've known each other for a minute, so I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let's go.
Let's get right into it because we have to talk about where both teams are right now. Kind of a status check on the Mets and Yankees, because ever since last Subway Series in the Bronx, it felt like these teams were going to be going in different directions, and they kind of hit that June swoon that we talked about on your show as we previewed the Subway Series. They both have hit the June swoon. Mets 12-15 in June. They started out 9-2 and they finished 3-13. Start of July a little bit better, 4-1. But the Yankees, although going 13-14, last 5 games, 0-5. Katie Sharp had the stat, and I think StatHead Sports Reference, in the last 20 games, 14 losses for the Yankees, 159 runners left on base, 79 runs total. It's the first time since 1990 that they've had any 20-game stretch with 14-plus losses, 159 runners left on base, and 79 or fewer runs. You talk about 1990, we're talking about the Bronx Zoo. We're talking about Mel Hall times. Like, we're really going back. That's the worst of the Yankees, in a very long time. I mean, that the Yankees have been a consistent playoff contender ever since that rough patch there. And I think you gave me the stat earlier. Yankees 1-26 when trailing after the 7th inning. Last week for both teams, Mets, after getting swept by Pittsburgh, they took 2 out of 3 from a very good Milwaukee Brewers team. And they have kind of manhandled the Yankees right now. Yankees coming off that 4-game sweep of the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays and losing this series to the Mets, now in 3rd place in the American League East. Yankee struggles. What has been the biggest problem in your eyes? Where have things gone wrong here?
It's a combination of bad pitching at one point, bad hitting at another point, and bad fielding. In the month of June, the Yankees' offense was just non-existent outside of Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, who was one of the good signings this offseason by general manager Brian Cashman. He hit about below 150 for the month of June. And I do apologize if I'm very low. I'm like in the press box right now, so I can't have like my full energy. But when it comes down to it, the New York Yankees, and I pointed this out on Thursday, anything bad that can happen is going to happen right now, whether it's a combination of bad pitching, bad defense, not hitting with runners in scoring position. The Yankees had a series where they were 0 for 12 against the Cincinnati Reds with runners in scoring position. position. You're not going to win many games if that's what you're doing. And I think this goes back to the middle of June. I think it was ever since that series where the Yankees got swept by the Red Sox. The Yankees, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, I got the stat right here. Sorry. The Yankees are 5-16 since June 13th, 5-17 now, which is the worst, tied for the worst record in baseball with the Cleveland Guardians. And if you're a team that's trying to get back to the World Series where you were last year, you need to pick that up. And again, you need guys that aren't named Aaron Judge to step up and to start performing. And I think that's something that most Yankee fans have been frustrated with looking at this roster dating back to the middle of June.
I think that both teams have been suffering from hitting with runners in scoring position. I don't know what it is. A lot of people want to blame the hitting coaches, but they're not the ones out there, trying to swing at these balls or just watching balls go by them. A lot of the stars are not going to listen to the hitting coaches at all. You always look at the younger kids and seeing their progress. Maybe that's why these hitting coaches have not been doing well with these teams. What do you think it is? Like, the Yankees have already went through firing a hitting coach, and it really didn't change anything. And that's the kind of concern that I have with the Mets as well. If you let go of a guy like Eric Chavez, they actually have two hitting coaches right now, which is, I think a little bit crazy to me. But you look at Eric Chavez, Jeremy Barnes, and if you fire those two and this offense stays the same, you're not really changing much. Then you got to look at the players, and you can't really just get rid of all these players with these big contracts. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's a question that you ask yourself: is it the coaches or is it the personnel? Right? Because when you look at somebody like Anthony Volpe, and that's like been the punching bag for like Yankee fans over the past like few weeks has been Anthony Volpe. But when you look at Anthony Volpe, he has all the tools to be a solid Major League Baseball player. It's just it's not coming together on the field for him. I know he's had his errors, but we've seen him with a Gold Glove. He has phenomenal speed. I'm not sure if it's the approach that he has at the plate, because when Anthony Volpe concentrates to go up the middle into right field, his numbers are fantastic. It's when he falls in love with trying to pull the fastball, trying to get that home run, that's when he starts to get in trouble. Anthony Volpe should not try to be a 20 home run, 20 stolen bases every season type of baseball player. He should be a contact guy that gets on base and use his speed to cause havoc on the base path. And that's not what he's doing right now.
No, and like you said, he's left a lot of men on base. The struggle's been. He did hit a home run on Saturday, but as you said, some of these guys just cannot be, reaching for the stars and trying to get power that they just don't have, and that's been the struggle with even some of the guys on the Mets. Whether it's Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty right now, everyone trying to go for the home run, and it's just not working. I feel like the Mets and the Yankees have the same problems right now. Not hitting with runners in scoring position, and the pitching staffs are decimated, and we're going to get into the pitching staff a little bit later. But the Mets have kind of been able to, over the last 4 games, turn this thing around. Now, you've been at Citi Field for some of these games this past week. In your eyes, do you think this is real? Do you buy into it yet at all? Or are we just, masking bigger problems?
I buy into it because when you look at it, your lineup is built around Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, and Juan Soto. When you look at the Yankees lineup, it's Aaron Judge and question marks around Cody Bellinger. I know if you remove the first month of the season, Cody Bellinger is a 300 hitter on the year, but is he going to be consistent the rest of the stretch, right? What is Paul Goldschmidt going to give you? So when you compare both teams, yes, the Yankees have Aaron Judge, who's having a phenomenal season. But outside of Aaron Judge, that's it. When you look at the Mets, at least you got those 3-headed horses that are leading the charge with Lindor, with Pete Alonso, and Juan Soto. So if one of them is struggling, at least you got 2 other guys that can pick up the slack. I know we got our filling guys that are in the lineup, but when you look at it, I'd rather have 3 horses that can lead the way instead of just one guy that's better than anybody else on the planet.
I want to shout out to the chat. We got 70 people in the room right now. Thank you so much, Patty and NYC, for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Duran Rivera as well. Shout out to you for the $4.99 super chat. This has been an amazing experience doing this over the last 5 years, and you know what it takes, Hector, to go through this. The grind that we put through doing social media, making content for things that we love. Your love for the Yankees and the Knicks, my love for the New York Mets, and it is a grind. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to go to a quick question from Nelson Cruz. Because if you have 2 hitting coaches like the Mets have, Do they have similar philosophy on hitting? Could cause confusion. That's what my thought was. I've never heard of a team, and I'm pretty sure there's other teams that do it, but having two hitting coaches at one time, I was thinking maybe there are dueling philosophies going on.
Mhm. I'm gonna point back. There was an interview that Gary Sheffield did with Foul Territory. Shout out to Scott Braun and the people over there over on Foul Territory. But Gary Sheffield spoke on how kids nowadays, they don't know how to play the game of baseball. When they go out there, they're just showcasing their skills. And it's pretty evident because we've seen this year and last year how many mental mistakes happen on the base path with young baseball players, whether that's Jason Dominguez, whether that's Brett Beatty. A lot of issues are happening with the young players not knowing situational baseball. That's something that we grew up admiring, looking at players like Gary Sheffield, A-Rod, Mike Piazza, Jose Reyes, David Wright, understanding situational baseball. And I think that's what is missing in 2025. When you look at the state of the game, it's just the basic fundamentals of what to know, or how do I say, not what to know, or how to play out a certain scenario late in the game, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Patty and NYC making a good point. It goes back to what I've been talking about, with, firing one of these hitting coaches. He goes, I wonder if the coaches split the players. One takes the baby Mets, the other one takes the veterans. I don't know how much the veterans actually listen, to these hitting coaches. Juan Soto has been a professional hitter since he came into the league. How much are you going to be able to change him? Like maybe there's tweaks when he's struggling a little bit, but outside of that, I don't really know how much a Juan Soto, a Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, he has his own hitting instructors as well. How much are they actually listening to these hitting coaches? And, I take a little bit more of maybe the baby Mets in the Mauricios, the Alvarez, Beatty. They're the ones that I kind of look to when it comes to these hitting coaches, because, they're coming up in the league. They're coming from the minor leagues. They've hit well in the minor leagues, and then they come here and they're not hitting as advertised. So that's where the concern comes in. And you wonder if through them is where the problem comes in with these hitting coaches.
Yeah, shout out to Arman in the chat that actually is literally put what Sheffield put in that conversation. But no, I gotta agree with you. When you look at the Yankees, for instance, right? Aaron Judge is somebody that we all respect as probably the best hitter on the face of the earth right now. But Aaron Judge is a guy, when he first came up with the Yankees in 2016, towards the end of the year, he was striking out at a 45% clip. That offseason, he got a new hitting coach, his own hitting coach, Teacher Man, the guy that's viral on the internet right now on TikTok, and totally changed his approach at the plate. And that's a question that Yankee fans have. Is that more of Aaron Judge and him just being a free athlete? Or should we start questioning player development at the minor league level when it comes to hitting approach? Because if he went online and found somebody who was a YouTube hitting coach and that turned him into the best hitter on the face of the earth, you're gonna have to start questioning what's really going down at the lower levels.
Game for War saying Mets need a hitting coach who believes in launch angle. Chavez doesn't. He believes in hitting the ball by aiming down to hit a certain spot to create backspin, which makes elevation, which is a myth. He also goes on saying, and why they all hit ground balls and hit into so many double plays, equals low runners in scoring position. This is also good with Anthony Volpe. We've seen a lot of hitting into double plays, a lot of striking out, trying to do too much, and that's why he's left so many on base.
Yeah, you remember when the torpedo bats was a thing at the start of the season, and everybody thought Anthony Volpe was going to be an all-star. Well, some Yankee fans did, but no, I got to agree with you. I'm not sure when it comes to Eric Chavez and his approach. I know Eric Chavez a few years ago was with the Yankees as a hitting coordinator or hitting coach. So I'm not too sure. It's just in 2025 with all the analytics that are available to you. And analytics is just like advanced scouting. If you don't have the right people in place to interpretate that data and give it to the players so they can put it into practice on the field, you don't have nothing but just somebody printing stats on paper and just wasting paper. You need to have the right coaches in place to help relay that information to the players.
Well, one guy who doesn't need any of this is obviously Aaron Judge, and he has been dominant throughout this entire season, batting over 360, has over 30 home runs, over 70 RBIs, has an OPS over 1.2. Last 7 games, he's batting over 450. Is this the best we've seen of Aaron Judge in his career?
I don't know. Every year, I think whatever version of Aaron Judge we see is the best version of Aaron Judge. When he hit 62 home runs, and then last year, I thought last year was a better season than 62, but this year to start the season and where he's at right now is definitely a way better start to the season. The issue is that it's just something Yankee fans bring up. Are the Yankees wasting his prime years by not having somebody else in that lineup that can help him carry the load? I bring up last year, he had Juan Soto in that lineup, and Juan Soto probably had one of the best seasons of his career. But the fact that the Yankees, they do not have a Robin in the lineup to go with Aaron Judge, who's a Batman, I think that's an issue right now. Because teams, you've seen it so far, he's leading the league in intentional walks. And if I'm the opposing manager in the other dugout, why am I going to let Aaron Judge hit in a close game or in a tie game late in the game? I'm just going to hit him with the four fingers and walk him. We've seen people intentionally walk Aaron Judge in the first inning as well.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that the Mets didn't do that in game one where he hit his home run, that they didn't walk him. I would be constantly walking him. I don't care what team it is. I'd just be just like the Barry Bonds treatment, basically. They just walked him, and obviously he's going to get on a couple because he's like one of the greats out there. As Patty puts it, Judge is a generational player. But if you walk him, you allow Stanton, Bellinger, Goldschmidt to have to force the issue and try to score these runs for the team, and you take the bat out of the hands of Aaron Judge. Do you think that Judge can keep up this pace for the rest of the season? Obviously, if he stays healthy, we know there's always been injury concerns, but when he's healthy, I mean, he's basically unstoppable.
Yeah, if he's healthy, he's definitely going to put up the numbers, and he has been healthy for the past few years, dating back to like obviously when he hurt his toe and with the Dodgers. But when you look at Judge, the question is, when is somebody else going to step up to help him, and can they do it on a consistent basis? Because we've seen Giancarlo Stanton, he can carry a team when he gets hot for 2 weeks. But is that 2 weeks going to wind up being just a 2-week fizzle, and then for the rest of the season he disappears? I don't know. Same thing with Anthony Volpe. Same thing with Cody Bellinger. Like I said, remove the first one for the season. Cody Bellinger is a 300 hitter. Is that something that will carry for the rest of the season? Because Cody Bellinger, like we know, is somebody who has been dealing with injuries. Paul Goldschmidt is up there in age, and the big question mark is, what are the Yankees going to do at the trade deadline? Somebody that I want, and I know I brought it up the last time we talked, is Eugenio Suarez with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know with the Dodgers and Max Muncy, I'm not sure if the Diamondbacks would want to trade in their division with a rival like the Dodgers. So hopefully that's something that can help the Yankees when it comes to trying to upgrade the third base situation.
I honestly, I feel like the Mets are in the same position because I would honestly take Eugenio Suarez as well. D-Mac putting, Vientos has been a one that's been struggling, although his at bats haven't looked that bad. Some hard contact, middle right. I think you got to play him and see if he can start hitting again. Obviously, you want to try to get Mark Vientos going because of how well he played last year, how well he was able to adjust, and what he did in the postseason. But if there's an opportunity to trade and get a professional hitter like Eugenio Suarez to play third base, I mean, you got to jump at the opportunity, whether you are the Mets or whether you are the New York Yankees. I feel like the Mets can at least use one more at bat, help lengthen the bottom of the lineup, as well as the Yankees.
So can you say that last part? You froze for me.
That both the Mets and the Yankees could use Eugenio Suarez's services towards the lower end of that lineup.
Oh yeah, definitely for the Yankees, because right now when you look at it, 7, 8, and 9 are complete just zeros in the lineup. I know DJ LeMahieu is trying to give us whatever he can give us, but at this point, I think the Yankees just need to cut their losses, eat that money, and understand that DJ LeMahieu, he's just going to be a glorified bench piece, late game pinch hitter. If that, defensively, he doesn't have it at second base. He cannot move laterally. And there was an article that Chris Kirschner put out about how DJ LeMahieu is unwilling to move positions and play third base, and that's why the Yankees have Jazz Chisholm at third base. And I think if you're catering to a veteran like DJ LeMahieu, who is struggling, I think it's going to hurt you in the long run. Maybe they're just trying to see what they have right now and leading up to the trade deadline. But when you're losing games like this and you're free falling out of first place, you need to address what's going on right now instead of waiting to the trade deadline. I know the price may be a little bit more costly right now because we're still 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. But as we get closer, the asking price does come down. Maybe that's what Brian Cashman is waiting for. But when the ship is taking on as much water as it is right now, you can't wait until July 31st. You need to go out there and make a move like tonight.
Patty in NYC was asking, Rice was doing so well. What happened to him?
Sophomore is second year player. We don't have consistent at bats. You've seen John Carlos Stanton coming back, taking over the DH spot. Where are you going to find at bats for Ben Rice? He was the first baseman yesterday, but do you trust him defensively? I'm not sure. I know behind the plate he showed some promise filling in as a catcher, but I think the Yankees are just trying to find where you could plug him into the lineup, and if you could plug him into the lineup, maybe he could get rolling. Somebody that I want the Yankees to start giving consistent playing time to is Jason Dominguez, because over the past 2 months, Jason Dominguez is hitting like 275. He has a 136 WRC plus. He has an 840 OPS, and he has a 369 on base percentage. I know defensively he ranks in the lower tier defensively for his position in left field, but offensively he's putting up the numbers and he's starting to start getting hot.
I'm glad you brought up Jason Dominguez. We'll talk about him next. He's heating up, as you mentioned. What have you seen in the maturation of Jason Dominguez?
This is a kid that in the minor leagues, his defensive ability in center field was always a question mark. Can he improve from that aspect of his game? But from spring training into now, he has gotten way better. And I know, like I said, he's at the bottom tier when it comes to defensive rankings for left fielders in Major League Baseball. But what it was in spring training, it is leaps and bounds where he was before, and he has improved tremendously. And I feel if you keep giving young players more at bats, more times in the field, they do get better. I know Friday's game one of the Subway Series, he had 2 home runs, but he had a fielding error in left field or a fielding mishap. It wasn't scored the error, but we all know that that's a ball he should have caught.
Aaron Volpe has been given this time to improve himself, even through the struggles. What more does Jason Dominguez have to do to play every day?
The thing, and I know that's something that gets brought up by Yankee fans. The issue is that when it comes to Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham is the person that's knocking on the door for playing time, right? He plays real good defense in the outfield. He started the season off tremendously. Anthony Volpe doesn't have that. You want that to be Oswald Peraza, but in the times that he's gotten at bats or he has gotten playing time, he hasn't caught on fire or showed you much offensively. He'll hit a home run here or there, or he'll grab an extra base hit, but that's it. And I think that's why Anthony Volpe is getting more of the playing time, because there's nobody that's on the bench that can literally fight for that time, or you could plug in and give you at bats the way Trent Grisham has given Aaron Boone in this lineup at bats to start the season.
Back in Queens during the June swoon, there was one player that didn't have a June swoon, and that's Juan Soto. He had a June boom, if I like to say. Player of the month, batted .322, 11 homers, 20 RBIs, a 1.196 OPS, and that's really without him hitting with runners in scoring position. He leads the team in home runs right now. Hector, it felt inevitable that Juan Soto was going to find his form. I know a lot of people were, when is this going to happen? When is he going to start hitting? When is he going to start living up to the contract? Well, you got it right here, right now.
You and I, we talked, all the Yankee fans that were cheering his struggles at the beginning of the season, I kept saying, you're gonna start having to eat your lunch. And right now, I hope you have your plate, your fork and knife, because Juan Soto is serving you food. We all know how great this young man is when it comes to what he can do on the baseball field offensively. And that's what you're getting right now. And this is what you're seeing right now is why Yankee fans fell in love with Juan Soto last season. The way that he has these at-bats, the way that he locks into the game. The Soto shuffle is back. The intensity is back. The aggression at the plate is back. And the scary dominance that he has at the plate is back for Juan Soto. And as a Met fan, this is what you wanted to start the season. You're getting it right now, and you're getting it at a perfect time when the team is starting to turn around their struggles that they had in June.
During the season at Yankee Stadium, the tone was really set. In the beginning, there was all the talk about Juan Soto, how he would be treated by fans. It kind of really threw him off, I think, the entire series. He wasn't himself, didn't have a good series. Now, to start this series, the Yankees get off to a quick 2-0 lead on Friday night, and then Soto hits that 2-run homer, which I don't know about you. I really think it set the pace for this series moving forward, and why the Mets, have kind of pretty much dominated throughout this Queens edition of the Subway Series.
Thursday, when me, you, Grace, and Brian had the conversation, I brought up how that's what I did not want to happen. I did not want him to get on fire. I did not want him to have a big series, and that's what he's having so far. And if you're a Yankee fan who was celebrating or who was in the bleachers booing him at Yankee Stadium, like I said, I hope you're sitting at home. You have a plate in front of you with a fork and knife because he's serving you food right now. That's what Juan Soto is doing. And he has the ability, we've seen it many times before, to be the different maker in any series that he's in.
Hey, he even pulled off a sacrifice bunt, which I did not
I
see
was not
coming.
expecting that. Oh yeah, I was not expecting that to start the game yesterday. I was like, all right, he's trying to show off right now.
Crazy enough, that led to a big grand slam from Brandon Nimmo, his second of the week, and we go into the next couple of hitters here. Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo coming up clutch for this Met team. Jeff McNeil had the game-winning home run in the 7th inning of Friday's game. He's got an OPS over 820. Fangraphs has him as one of the top 25 players over the last calendar year. As I mentioned, Brandon Nimmo with the grand slam is second of the week, his third of the season. He's turning into Robin Ventura right now. His last 30 games batting over 300, has close to 10 home runs and over 20 RBIs. With the struggles this offense has been going through all season, how important is it for these two to get consistent offensive production?
I think it's very important. I think last year around this time is when you guys made, or a little bit before, like in the middle of June, you guys made the decision to put Juan Soto in the leadoff spot, and that totally turned your, I mean, not Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor into the leadoff spot, and that turned your season around last year. And I think now putting Brendan Nimmo in the leadoff spot with Francisco Lindor in the 2 hole, I think that's a way to jumpstart your offense, and you've seen it over this weekend. Brandon Nimmo is one of the top players in Major League Baseball at his position. I know he's dealt with some injuries in years past, but I've always been a fan of Nimmo.
Going back to the chat real quick, Armand mentioning the minor trade news. The Yankees have traded catcher Alex Jackson to the Orioles for international signing bonus, pool money, and a player to be named later or cash consideration. The O's sent $250K in return. Hector, man, how many more catchers can you guys trade? I know we talked about this on your show as well.
I don't know, man, and it's to get some more. I understand the international signing pool money because soon that process is going to start going to like a draft lottery system. So the Yankees, they need to take advantage as much as they can when it comes to getting young international players right now before it switches to the draft, where the Yankees will be asked out, won't be able to get some of the top international players. But I don't know, man. It's so frustrating because I can see 2 years down the line, Alex Jackson turning into an all-star catcher. The way that like or the way that some guys are turning, especially in Boston, Miami, Augustine Ramirez is looking like a killer. He has double-digit home runs for the Miami Marlins right now. So yeah, it's what the Yankees do. We trade away catchers that turn out to be good, and we keep the catchers that don't turn out to be good.
Now, as we start wrapping up this show, both the Mets and Yankees have been decimated by pitching injuries. Yankees just heard that Clark Schmidt is going to be having Tommy John surgery to go along with Garrett Cole. Stroman made his return. He's been okay. Another problem and issue with this pitching has been, Luke Weaver, who was pretty much dominant once he became closer, got hurt, and has not been the same since returning from the IL. You got this closer's issue with him, Devin Williams. Who do you trust in this rotation? Who do you trust in this bullpen right now? Because it's been a huge struggle, not only for the Mets, but for the Yankees as well.
Before Luke Weaver got injured, right? Well, since he's come back from injury, he's pitched, like over 6 innings, and he's given up 7 runs in his last 6 innings. And this is something that isn't mechanical. Is he 100% healthy? Did he rush back from that? I think it was an oblique situation he was dealing with. Did he rush back from it? Is he 100%? I don't know, man. Who do I trust? Definitely Max Fried and Carlos Rodon, even though Carlos Rodon got hit around yesterday. That's what I trust. And honestly, in the bullpen, it's Devin Williams. Devin Williams has been solid since he's figured it out. And I think Yankee fans want to criticize him for a pass ball in the dirt in the last series that cost the Yankees the game. Copy. If you want to criticize him for that, you criticize him for that. But if I had to say who I trust when it comes to the pitching side, Max Fried, Rodon, and Devin Williams. Those are the three guys I trust. Hopefully, Luke Weaver can turn it around because the Yankees do want to go for it. They need him to turn it around.
Now, I haven't been on top of every player in the Yankees, but I know Luis Gil had a great season last year. He hasn't been pitching. Is he going to be coming back this season?
Yeah, he's coming back. He's already started like some throwing programs and stuff like that. I think he should be coming back. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna look it up right now. I thought I heard some news about it. Yeah, he should be back over the next 2 weeks. Yeah, over the next he's about 3 weeks away. Luis Gil from coming back.
And that'll help supplement the loss of Clark Schmidt, losing him on Thursday. What was your reaction to that? I know he isn't the top line starter, but he was kind of the anchor of the rotation. What were your feelings on him? Obviously not good, but what he provided for the rotation at the time.
Well, before the injury, he was having the best season of his career. His last 3 starts, I know the last start that he had, he got pulled out of the game, but leading up to that start, he had some of the best stuff that I've ever seen from Clark Schmidt. He was starting to figure it out, how to navigate the strike zone, east to west, north to south, something that he talks with Garrett Cole all the time about. And it just sucks, man. You hate injuries to happen, but it hurts more when it's a young guy who was already dealing with injuries to start the season, and now you go back to the drawing board. The only silver lining is that I was expecting when Luis Gil to come back for Brian Cashman to hit you with the same old of, oh well, you got Luis Gil. It's like acquiring somebody at the trade deadline. Well, now you got Clark Smith out, and now you need to go out there to trade for someone.
Yeah, that's been. Man, that I know that feeling that's been kind of the Mets MO in the Wilpon days, like hoping an injury comes back and that's getting a trade deadline. I mean, look, we're probably even dealing with it now. Kodai Senga possibly coming back, Sean Manaea. It's like getting 2 starting pitchers at the trade deadline, and maybe hopefully everything turns around. But with the way pitching is going, over the last couple of years, the injuries that have been taking place, the frustrations with so many Tommy John surgeries taking place, both teams have been absolutely decimated. On the Mets side, the Daniel Nunez lost for the year. He's going to have a second Tommy John surgery. Jose Budo is out with an illness, unspecified illness. He'll be out throughout the All-Star break. Paul Blackburn, I think G-Money Stacks for putting it in the chat because I totally forgot about him. Paul Blackburn also out on the IL. He came in Pittsburgh and probably should not have come back after a rain delay. I don't know if that had anything to do with the injury. I would assume so. But, he is out right now. You got Kodai Senga working himself back up. He had an okay start in the minor leagues on Saturday. But the hope is that, today he feels healthy. He feels good. And that's the most important part for Senga. Manaea probably one rehab start away from coming back. Maybe we see either one of them, maybe both of them at the end of next week. It's really been David Peterson leading the charge here. The guy only been able to get, into the 7th inning, had a complete game already. Clay Holmes has pitched well this season. We talked about him in prior episodes. Frankie Montas, who I actually thought he pitched very well on Saturday outside of I know he gave up 2 home runs, did not have some great defense behind him, ended up giving up 4 runs, but he got into the 6th inning with the Mets really needing that and pitched pretty well against his old team there. And then you got guys like Reed Garrett, Ryan Stanek gutting it out, playing multiple innings, getting in there when the Mets really needed help. But Reed Garrett on Friday, I know that Carlos Mendoza was down, Stanek was down, Diaz, and he asked him if he could go 2 innings, even with all the struggles that he's been through. Came in, got the save, and helped the Mets out there. And, what more can you say about Edwin Diaz? Armand put it in the chat. I love Armand bringing all the stats to the show today.
Shout out to Armand.
Since April 26th, Edwin Diaz has allowed a run in just 1 of his 24 outings. In the same span, Diaz has 36 strikeouts and has allowed just 12 hits. His 2025 stats so far, 3-0, 1.80 ERA, 53 strikeouts, and 18 saves. you see the struggles out in the Bronx with the two closers that you have right now, but what Edwin Diaz has been able to provide this season for the Mets, it finally feels like the dominant Edwin Diaz that we saw from 2022 has returned.
Yeah, I love when I'm here covering the games and he come in the game. The music, the interest, the energy that he comes in. Again, this is a guy that the intensity, you can feel it when he's on the mound. And seeing Edwin Diaz, a fellow Boricua, I interviewed him when he was over at Yankee Stadium for the Subway Series. Awesome guy, and I really enjoy being able to cheer for my fellow Boricuas that are in Major League Baseball. I think there's 26, and this is going to be the first time ever in history that you have the NL and the AL having a Boricua in the starting lineup for both teams, with Javi Baez for the American League and Francisco Lindor for the first time as a New York Met for the National League. Oh, I can't hear you for some reason.
Shout out to Francisco Lindor for finally making the All-Star game. It's long overdue. I feel like there have been other years where he was better and he deserved it over a couple other players, but finally getting his due and getting into the starting lineup. Hopefully there'll be a couple more Mets that make it to the All-Star game, and obviously Pete Alonso and Juan Soto, but we will see how that happens. But yeah, him and Javi Baez. Funny thing too, when it comes to that, is that, the Mets traded Pete Armstrong, who's starting center fielder now for the National League, and Javi Baez, who's starting for the American League. But, things like this happen, right? I mean, trades like this happen.
Random trivia for you. So Frankie Montas became the fourth pitcher in Major League Baseball history that had pitched for both the Yankees and the Mets during the Subway Series. Do you know the other three pitchers?
I want to say Al Leiter.
Nope.
Not Al Leiter.
That has pitched against, one has pitched for the Yankees against the Mets, and then again vice versa for the Mets against the Yankees.
Oh man,
they've been within the last 20 years. So from 2005 to 2025.
Bartolo Colon.
That's one. Two more.
Okay, and they're starters, right?
Starters.
Bartolo Colon. Dang, man. Trying to think through starters here. Was Freddie Garcia on both teams? Did he?
No, it wasn't Freddie Garcia.
Man, I'm stunned on the other two. I seriously thought Al Leiter was one of them.
No, it's El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, and it's Marcus Stroman, who pitched on Friday.
How could I forget El Duque and his one great season with the Mets?
2005, baby.
Wow.
TBT.
Wow. Yeah. That's some good trivia. That stumped me. I did. You know what it is because there's so many pitchers. I know someone in the chat even threw in David Cohn, but he wasn't with the Mets when they were doing that. Dwight Gooden pitched against the Mets, but he wasn't with the Mets pitching against the Yankees because there wasn't interleague play back then. Al Leiter pitched for both teams. So there's been so much crossover between the two teams. Makes it hard to come up with these guys.
I just want to say, Carlos, yes, this is the first time. I was shocked to learn that there's two Boricuas starting, one in the National League and one in the American League. That's what it is. This is the first time ever that you have at least one Boricua in the starting lineup for the American League and at least one Boricua in the starting lineup for the National League at the same time in the same game.
Yeah, I thought you would think, you had Carlos Beltran, Delgado out there, Pudge Rodriguez. Surprised that those guys didn't start at the same time. It's great. I love it. We represent here. Can't wait for WBC. We've talked about it in the past. So
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun with these guys playing all together. When it comes to the pitching, I want to get right back to that real quick. Do you think the Mets can hold on and wait for Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea to come back? Should they make a trade for pitching at the deadline, or hold off because these guys are coming back for injury? That's a trade in itself.
You can never have too much pitching, and somebody that I was told that the Mets are heavily in on bullpen arm Aroldis Chapman. But last night, a name came up having a conversation was Luis Severino, somebody who has made it known that he is frustrated with the Sacramento Athletics or whatever their name is right now. And it depends on how much money or if any money the Athletics are going to eat. Maybe the Mets can do a trade where the Athletics take a bad contract for 1 year and you guys get Luis Severino back. I don't know. But if that was to happen, I think that's interesting. Maybe a trade between the New York Yankees and the Oakland and I keep calling them Oakland, and I'm just not used to the whole athletic thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not used to it. But yeah, maybe the Yankees can call the Athletics up and ask to get Luis Severino, and maybe they take back Marcus Stroman's contract for the rest of the year, and we could just get Luis Severino for this year, and then you're stuck with him for the next 2 years. So it all depends on how flexible they are with the payroll. As I'm looking straight ahead, and I just realized I'm looking at the grimace seat that's right ahead of
me. G Money Stacks in the chat saying, if the New York Mets were to go out for any starting pitcher and another bat, who should they go for at the trade deadline? The only names that I've heard yesterday, actually, Mitch Keller was thrown around from Pittsburgh, which is a guy that I wouldn't be opposed to going after. His name was being rumored that the Mets were very interested in, and I know that Pat Ragazzo posted when it comes to at bats. I think it was I think his name is Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore, as well as Josh Naylor, both first baseman, DH types. Maybe those are guys that they can go after, but they're, now that more teams get into the postseason and with a lot of teams hovering around, you're not hearing these early rumors like you would in the past. If this gets really close to the deadline when it comes to these trades, and we're not seeing the big names being traded as much as we used to.
Yeah, that tends to happen now in the off season. If it does happen, I know we just had Rafael Devers traded a few weeks ago. That was a big splash when that happened. That was somebody that I thought the Mets would be trying to eye at the trade deadline was Rafael Devers. But yeah, who's the big name that's going to get moved? Matt Chapman is more of this C list or B list tier. Now I wouldn't consider him like an A tier superstar, but who's out there? For the Mets, do you guys want to trade and upgrade your third base situation, or do you guys want to ride it out with Mark Vientos? And if you were to decide, all right, we'll move on from Mark Vientos, who's out there and who's available? Ryan McMahon, who's batting .211, which I think is lower than Mark Vientos' batting average. I'll stick with Vientos if I'm the Mets. I'm not trading any of my prospects for a guy like Ryan McMahon. Somebody that I've been wanting the Yankees to go after for a while was Ryan McMahon, but when you look at the rest of the league, I know I brought up the Yankees and the Guardians having the worst record in baseball since June 13th. That's a team that I'm eyeing because I've been wanting for years for the Yankees to trade for Jose Ramirez. I know he has a no trade clause and he's probably not going to want out of Cleveland, but that's a situation that I'll be monitoring if I'm both the Yankees and the Mets. How is Jose Ramirez feeling in Cleveland? Would he like a fresh start? Are the Cleveland Guardians going to hit that reset button and blow it up and trade away pieces away? So that's a situation that I'm monitoring. If anyone is available, I think Ramirez could be, but again, he has a no trade clause, so that makes things difficult.
Armand in the chat, as we mentioned, Luis Severino earlier, he's owed $25 million next year and has a player option for 2027 at $22 million. He's making $20 million this year. He definitely earned his money in this contract year with the Mets, and now he's making his money, but he's unhappy and has been struggling. It's crazy to think how much he has struggled out there in Sacramento right now.
He pitches in a minor league ballpark, but you made this decision. And I got a question to ask you. Did me and you force him to sign with the Athletics,
no.
or did he sign with the Athletics?
Oh, no, and I do think that the Mets had offered him a deal a little bit less than what he got offered here, and he wanted to take a little bit of more money, and kudos to him for taking the money and taking care of his family. There's no ill will or hard feelings, but when you go to Oakland or Sacramento, whatever they call themselves now,
right now,
you are going to be in Nothingville for a long time.
It's what I'm gonna say right now. When the state of the world is the state of the world right now, I'm not crying over somebody not being happy when they make $20 million a season. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for you. I'll have some sympathy a little bit, but I don't feel bad for you.
Armand in the chat saying McMahon won't get traded because Rockies ownership loves him and the Rockies don't sell at the deadline.
Yeah. And it's been like rumors or just people trying to get Ryan McMahon traded for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and it's never happened. And his value has dropped down tremendously each season that they didn't trade him. So I don't see him get moved either.
When it goes to the third baseman, D-Mac saying, I don't think Mets trade for third baseman with so many internal options, maybe a center fielder. They could use a center fielder because I really think that Tyrone Taylor is being overexposed right now, playing too much time out there. Juan Diaz saying the Mets would be genius to trade for J-Ram. Same with Armand, would love to trade for him as well. Patty in NYC saying Sevy negotiated a good contract, and that's why he's not a Met. He should have stayed. And that's just what happens. That's just what baseball is right now. Mets
Maybe
offering
a bad
D-Mac
contract for the team, but a good contract for him. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thanks to D-Mac, they did offer him something similar to what they offered Frankie Montas. And let's see if Frankie Montas could be this year's Luis Severino. I know both of them got off to tough starts in their Mets career, but it happened there. So I think also there was a comment from, who was it that I wanted to bring up? Oh, Duran Rivera. Shout out to Anthony and Hector for their professionalism at their respective positions covering the Mets and the Yankees. Hector, before we wrap up here,
Yes.
Let everyone know what else you got coming up. I know you're at the stadium right now getting ready for Game 3. Let everyone else know what you're working on for the week and what's up, man.
Yeah, I'm about to head ready to hit the field to get some interviews, but you guys can catch me Uptown Sports TV on YouTube, Instagram. I go live from the field on TikTok. So if you guys have TikTok, just go look up Uptown Sports TV. I'll be live from the field in a few minutes down there. But I will be at the MLB All-Star game as well, coming up in Atlanta, covering for Latino sports. Again, Ant, I appreciate you. I look forward every year to these conversations that we do. And at the start of the season, with our guy Rocco and with New York One, and then on our respective channels, I do appreciate your friendship. I do appreciate the great baseball conversations that we've had over the years, my guy.
Appreciate you as well, even working with Dexter, the many times that we got to work out with Dexter in the New York Post. It's been awesome. D in the chat saying shout out to our hosts and all the legendary fans in the chat. Let's go. Hector, I'm going to let you go. I know you got things to do and you got to get out in the field. I appreciate you, my friend. We'll be in touch, big bro. And we'll be talking more as you get to cover the Mets too. You're not just covering the Yankees. You get to cover the Mets out there. We've talked at Citi Field before. And we'll do it again. And hopefully I'll see you out there for David Wright's number retirement.
I'll definitely be here for that. And shout out to my mom, who's a diehard Met fan, who's having the best time of her life right now, trolling me in the text message every night. So I appreciate you, Ant. Lady, guys, shout out to the chat.
All right, Hector, you take care. Hector from Uptown Sports TV. Make sure you check him out, not only there, but also check him out on X, Instagram, TikTok. Follow Yanks Brew on X, Uptown Sports TV on X, Latino Sports, wherever you are on social media. He is the co-host of Yanks Morning Brew on Uptown Sports TV, social media manager and digital content creator for Latino Sports. Before we wrap up the show, I mentioned the David Wright number retirement. Now, if you're not able to go there and not be able to be a part of that, there's other baseball event that's happening at minor league stadium, actually. And if you like wrestling as well, TNA Slamming Softball Classic, the Media Goon helped me out with this and in wanting to post this. So shout out to him. The stars of TNA Wrestling unite on the softball field for the inaugural TNA Slamming Softball Classic, challenging the coaching staff of the Merrick Belmore Little League in New York. The 7-inning game will benefit the Merrick Belmore Little League. Will be held on Saturday, July 19th at Calhoun High School in Merrick, New York. First pitch is scheduled for 5 p.m. So if you're not able to go out to see David Wright and you want to go out for another baseball event or softball event, here's one of them. If you're a big wrestling fan, the TNA roster is loaded here. Matt and Jeff Hardy's going to be there. Santino Marcella, Eddie Edwards, Nick Nemeth, and Ryan Nemeth, AJ Francis, Mustafa Ali, Zachary Wentz. You got some of the great female wrestlers as well. Tessa Blanchard will be a part of that. And TNA World Champion Trick Williams also is confirmed to attend the TNA Slamming Softball Class. The admission to the game is only $20, and all proceeds will be donated to the Merrick Belmore Little League. They'll have refreshments. Seating is limited. You can bring your lawn chairs. And after the game, there will be a meet and greet with the wrestlers. If you enjoy going out there and being a part of a fun event that's going to be supporting that school and that little league, so make sure you check it out. And shout out to the Media Goon for bringing my attention to this. Appreciate all of you. And as Juan Diaz says, good to see the Hardys. They were at Citi Field a couple of weeks ago, the last time the Mets were here, and it was fun to see them. If you're a wrestling fan, like I said, like myself, and a baseball fan as well. I know Carlos Ramos, also a wrestling fan, who's in the chat. So shout out to not only them doing this for a good cause, shout out to the Media Goon for bringing my attention to this. You know, the Media Goon, you know, QBC, Queens Baseball Convention, and a lot of fun going there as well. So make sure you check all of that out. As we wrap up the show, I can't thank you enough. 131 of you were in here joining me, along with Hector from Latino Sports and Yanks Morning Brew, wrapping up the Subway Series here. And Mets have about 6 more games as we head into the All-Star break. Francisco Lindor is your All-Star right now in the starting lineup for the New York Mets. So shout out to him. Jeff Cohen, click the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Subway to Shea. We're over 1,000 subscribers now, so I appreciate all of that. I appreciate all of your support. If you want to support with the Super Chat, as Patty and NYC and Duran did, you could do that with Super Chat, Super Stickers, Super Thanks, now available on the YouTube. Subscribe to me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea, and you could subscribe on Apple Podcasts and you can subscribe on Spotify. That tongue twister. How about that? You could do that, but if you want to be a part of this chat and you want to hang out with us on the live portion of the show, you're doing it on YouTube, you're doing it on X, and I can't thank you guys enough and tell you how much I appreciate you each and every week coming out here with me, joining me in the morning, a little Mets in the morning for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoy what is a great start to the summer, and that's pretty much it for Anthony Rivera for the Subway to Shea podcast. Always remember, let's go Mets.